other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
D-E-P-R.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes...
Hello, between the lines. Thursday night, the elections are over. The August elections are over. I'm running behind tonight, guys. He won the battle. We got to bet who dropped it first. He said he would. Okay. How come the picture's so close? The audience scares the audience and me. Probably all right. Okay. Listen, we're here tonight. We want to thank Chuck for sponsors. I tried to get the Beatles, but they weren't available.
Oh, really?
So I got Wendy Maness instead, so I feel good about that. Wendy is from Mississippi, the Gulf of Mississippi. Is the Gulf?
Actually, the Delta.
You're from the actual Delta.
That's you go up the hill, and that's where I live. If you go down the hill, that's the Delta.
You know, a lot of my friends I played ball with in Oak Ridge were from Mississippi Delta. Willie Golden's a classic example. His parents came from the Delta area of Mississippi, so we always had a lot of talk about that when we were young. And I went to Biloxi a few times. How far from Biloxi?
About 4 hours north of Biloxi.
Oh, you're north. So Biloxi's down Louisiana way more. I mean, I got it, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, so the elections are over. Let's talk about that for just a second. I want to congratulate my wife before I do anything else, and she got elected county commissioner. I want to congratulate everybody that did well. It was a good evening. Democracy was served, a lot of votes, and November looks to be really, really testy, and we'll see where we go from there, but we're all looking forward to it. Wendy is a musician. Her husband is a sound engineer. They can do all kinds of things, and they've served Clinton well over the last few years. But we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of three or four different things tonight. First, tell me about growing up in Mississippi.
Oh my goodness, Mississippi. So, you know, when you're growing up in a small town, I lived in a very small town of Lexington, Mississippi. You only want to get out.
Familiar too. Maybe it's the Kentucky, but
well, B.B. King was from there.
That might be.
He lived there, but he ran away, went back to his mama. So
he's smart, yeah. Okay,
yes.
So he left. Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up there, lived my whole life.
How many people?
There was only about 1,200 people in the whole town when I lived there. Fleetwood Homes was the main industry.
Kind of Oliver Springs size maybe or something like that? About?
Probably smaller than Oliver Springs. We didn't even have a stoplight in the whole county.
Farm country? Delta's more...
Yeah.
Well, I think of Delta, I think of swamps or something. Am I saying
there's
it right?
a lot of cotton.
A lot of cotton. Nice and humid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, very hot. Okay. But it was, you know, I grew up there, went to a small school, went to, I don't know, it was just... Everybody knew everybody. It was that kind of town.
Yeah.
And so you formed these relationships.
You don't have to be that small for that to happen.
That is very true.
Clinton, you can testify to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Clinton knows everybody too.
Yeah.
And if they don't know you, they know about you.
Yes.
So when I was growing up, I tell my mom, I'm going to move to Tennessee and I'm going to move to Nashville. And she was like, no, you're not. You're not moving that far away. And somehow,
sounds like my wife talking to my 17-year-old son.
Yeah, so I went to community college there, and then I said...
What was the name of the community? Delta?
It was Holmes Community College.
Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went to college there, competed in the Miss Mississippi pageant with them.
Wow.
So, yeah, and then I said, Mom, they have auditions at Dollywood. How about I go do that?
How old are you now?
I am about 18 years old.
Well, you're grown up now.
Yes, so I went, and she came with me, and she was like, okay, if you get the audition, you can move. That's even further than Nashville, you know.
What is further than Nashville? Sevierville?
From where I live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I did get in, and I was in the Christmas show and just performed at Dollywood for a little bit, and then fell in love with Tennessee and East Tennessee and the people here, and just stayed.
Tennessee, you know, my buddy lives in Colorado I grew up with, and he has a company in Denver. And he said the only two places he'd ever live is the Rocky Mountains or East Tennessee, the two most beautiful. He's traveled worldwide, homes in Switzerland. So tell me about your family growing up. How many kids?
There was only two, me and my sister. I was the oldest. Okay. And my sister was the smartest. I liked it. She always knew how not to get in trouble. I was the one that always testing the waters, you know, how far can I push it? And my dad always let me know how far that was. But there were two of us. My mom owned a local florist, and my dad was a funeral director and mortician. And so it was a very interesting life growing up as a funeral director's daughter. And
Well, you know, the business is kind of interloped. I mean, really,
yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Bring some over, Mom. You know, that's how it is, flowers. Everything.
Exactly.
Was
And
she the only florist in town?
she was the only
Was
florist
he
in
the
town.
only mortician in town?
Yeah. So
Is that enough people to run a business?
you know, they're still dying, so he's still working.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Straight from the Delta of Mississippi. All right. Most famous people, B.B. King. Who else?
Let's see. B.B. King he lived there.
Doesn't have to be in Lexington. He can be in. B.B. actually lived in.
Yeah, he lived in Lexington with his dad for a little bit,
Okay.
and I would hear my uncles. They still tell stories about
When he
going to
was-
school with
before
him.
you were born and everything.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
And then he got on his bicycle and he rode back to Edabina, Mississippi, and became a big blues man.
Who names towns in Mississippi? I want to talk to somebody about all these names. They're named after people. Edabina?
Edabina. Yeah, a lot of them are Indian names, like Chula
Okay.
and Edabina.
Okay.
Lexington was actually not. It was named after Lexington, Kentucky.
That makes sense, yeah.
So yeah.
A lot of Romes. There's a lot of, you know, Paris is a big name. Paris,
is.
Illinois, Paris, Kentucky. There's a lot of, my mother grew up in Paris, Illinois.
Okay.
So that's why. So you grew up with your sisters how far behind you?
She's 3 years behind me.
Music?
She does not do any music. She had to listen to me. We would play in our playroom, you know, because my dad had an 8-track, and so I would put his 8 tracks in, and I would be like, okay, I'm going to be the singer, and you're going to be the backup dancer. And so she would like get on her toy box and dance while I had my hair brushed and was singing. And so we just had a good time growing up. We had, you know, our little group of friends that we'd run around the neighborhood with.
What's her first name?
Crystal.
Okay. And what does she do now?
She is now an X-ray tech, and
That's a
she
good job.
specialized in mammograms.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, then you get a little purpose in that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can push it and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, when I was with your dad, we had the 8 tracks. But when I was, I was at his house, you know, but mammograms just starting to become really, people were starting to encourage them when I was young, because a lot of women were not taking those kind of precautionary cares and stuff. Okay, so you get off, your mom and your dad let you go, leave this big city.
Right.
And I gotta say, I'm gonna look this up when I go home. It's Lexington. So you get to Sevierville. You start in Dollywood.
Yeah, I started at Dollywood. I did some Christmases there and at Dixie Stampede, and kind of,
But you're in your early 40s, right?
I am now, yeah.
So that's a long time ago.
Yeah, so I was 20 when I moved up here by
2000,
myself, which
1990.
is weird because my son's 20 now, and I'm like, you're still too young.
Yeah.
But really, you know, he's the same age I was when I left home, and I fell in love
He didn't
with
go very far.
this area. No,
No, he's
not yet.
No, he's on the other side of town.
Yeah.
I got that. Okay, so
Yeah.
all right, and let's stay with you for a second.
Yeah.
So you're there by yourself, living by yourself?
Yeah, I found a roommate, which is a whole nother crazy story. But yeah, I found a roommate and I lived there. And, you know, at that time there was off seasons in Sevierville. So you would go work at Dollywood, and they
That's true.
probably still are. But
Yeah.
the tourists didn't come in.
That's
So
right.
everything kind of shut down. So I went and worked at boot stores and did whatever I
Sure.
could to stay up here because I loved
And
it
your
so
goal
much.
at this time?
My goal was to be a singer.
country music, yeah. To make a living
and
at
to
it, to
make
do
a
it.
living at it. And I met some really cool people. I met Dolly. Like, she
Yeah.
was the sweetest lady ever.
Yeah.
And
I knew Lori Morgan when she was young. We both lived in Nashville. So
Oh, yeah.
I was from here, but my buddies knew her, and I knew her sisters and family. Great people. Dad was in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and Lori still doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Keith went in the Hall of Fame this year. So I don't have any country tapes so much. I was a huge Garth Brooks fan in the '90s. I just loved Garth Brooks.
oh, Garth Brooks is still amazing. He's
Yeah.
still filling
Vince
stadiums
Gill was
everywhere.
good for me. I'm talking about a light country guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I grew up mostly on rock and roll and stuff like that, but a little Motown.
Oh, Motown
Going back
is
to
the
Lexington,
best.
I mean, by
Yes.
Motown, right?
Yes, that's what I grew up on, was my dad's 8 tracks listening to Motown and
Sure,
Elvis.
so-
And oh my goodness, Elvis. I'm a
Elvis
huge
was in Mississippi, yeah.
He
there's
was.
He's from Corinth, or where was he from?
He was from Tupelo,
That's right.
just
But he
north,
moved to
like
Memphis,
2
yeah.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah, he was further north up by Memphis. So Memphis, people think of him going from Mississippi to Memphis. It wasn't that long. He got in the car there a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's not very far. Tupelo, Memphis, basically just an hour apart.
What year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 1997.
Okay, so 20. You got there in '99, basically. And
99.
Dolly was still there. It was still part-time in 99? I mean,
Yeah.
when I was going up there, it was 81, 75,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's just different.
Yeah,
that
the
park
whole
is
place
amazing,
would
too.
shut down in, January 1st, shut down until like March or April.
Yeah, a couple
And then-
months. They but today it's open all year.
Pretty much, I think so. I
maybe
think they
close
closed
to
down
it.
a little bit, but not much.
But we're talking about Dollywood's whole theme park, right? It's amazing, isn't it? Christmas
It
is great.
Oh, Christmas is, when I first got here, I didn't have any job except for singing there.
Yes.
And so I got here a couple of weeks early. I got to Dollywood, and so they were like, hey, we got this job for you. Why don't you do it? I unwrapped lights until I started my rehearsal. And I would sit and I would unwrap, and I was like, how many lights are there going to be? And they were like, tens of thousands.
Oh, yeah.
And when they put them up for the first time, it was like a kid in a candy store. It was
Sure.
so amazing.
You know, I'm in my 60s. It's still a kid in a candy store. My knees held up. I'd go up there and walk around every weekend. I just love that place. It's just it's very sentimental to me. I don't know why. I really don't have a lot of connection with it, except to say that it's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's maintained a value. There's
Yeah.
something about it that makes me feel good about my childhood, because I was raised in East Tennessee, and I just really feel good about it. I do. Okay, so did your little sister call you and say, I want to come up there and live with you, I want to come up and visit you for a month or two?
No, she didn't.
She didn't call at all.
I think she was
She was the
glad.
Princess of Lexington
Yeah.
now. She got
Yeah.
rid of you. I mean,
Yeah,
she shipped
she was
you.
like, well, she did tell me, because I think she was a senior in high school when I moved up here. And so she was like, nobody calls me Wendy's little sister anymore. So,
what
there was
city
that
she live in
aspect.
today?
She is in Cleveland, Mississippi. It's actually Boyle, which is in the Delta, but the bigger city is Cleveland, Mississippi. And she works in Arkansas. So she drives across the river every day to go work.
I don't know much about Mississippi, but I know I don't want to ever live in Arkansas. I lived in Denver for a year, and when you would leave, they used to say when you're going home east, leave at night, because Kansas is, almost.
Kansas is rough at night, don't you think?
What do you think about that? I mean, driving?
Driving, yeah.
It's off all the time. It's a mirage. Everything's a clump of trees, 80 miles, clump of trees, 50 miles. And you wonder, have I gone anywhere? It's scary. I mean,
And the wind is just
yeah,
blowing
there's
you
a lot of
everywhere.
whipping winds, yeah. But there's nothing
Yeah.
out there. There's the middle part is just a ghost town. It's like miles and miles. They say it's just so boring. Leave at night, don't leave at day. I don't know. But I've driven that a few times. I guess you have in your career. Okay, so you get there. Tell me what happens. How long are you there?
I was in Sevierville probably about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And then I met a guy. And
Everybody meets a guy or
Yeah.
a girl. That's the way it is when you're young.
I met a guy, and we ended up getting married, and I
Yeah.
stayed in East Tennessee.
Okay. And you stay up in the Sevierville area?
No, we actually, he was from Oak Ridge, so we moved to Clinton.
Whoa. I don't want to talk about him because I like the one. This is my guy here. I want to
Yeah.
go on record for that.
Yeah.
This guy drives me. He's class act. You did good with him, right?
Yeah, this one.
Oh, he's real good.
Jonathan's a great one.
Yeah. All right. So Jonathan's good. Okay. So we'll skip over. From Oak Ridge, I'm from Oak Ridge. I figured
Yeah.
that connect. So you get going, you get everything done, and you skip ahead. When did you get to Clinton?
I got to Clinton in 2001.
You just went up there in '99. You're back that quick.
Yeah,
you
so
lived
it's
in
like
Clinton that time.
two
I got it.
years. Yeah, March
Okay.
of 2001, moved to Clinton.
How did the music progress? What did you do with music when you got back?
So when I got married the first time, I would just sing at church. And I didn't do a whole lot, except for I did work with the Ciderville Bunch. And I'm sure
Yeah,
everybody
good
knows
people.
the Ciderville Bunch.
Good friend. You told me you worked with David West and some of the. So you had your roots well into Clinton, didn't you?
Yeah, and they would have me on their show, and Sammy Sawyer and I and Chris Mundy, we would all had this Andy Griffith theme going sometimes with David West, and I was Charlene Darling. So, yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah.
And so that's
saw him
and
a
I
few
did the
times.
Tennessee Barn Dance, which was held at the Ritz Theater in Clinton. And so
Was that a
lot of-
variety of people? Or
It was a variety of people. John Hitch, he kind of brought it over from when it used to be in Knoxville, and just kept it going after it went away. And so we would perform at the Ritz 1 or 2 times a month.
I wanted to buy the Ritz at one time, but I didn't. I mean, it was just
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just we've had a lot of things go on there, but it's just the owner does a great job. He keeps it going, and I really like him. He's done a wonderful job. So that's a pretty vested. That's pretty good. So you lived in South Clinton the whole 20, or you've been in other parts of Clinton?
When I first started and lived in Clinton, I was at Carriage Trace. So I was down there in the apartments as I think I was 22.
I want to
years
go
old.
on record again. Joe Hollingsworth did more for the city of Clinton, building those apartments and giving people a place to live than anybody since. I'm just going to go on record.
They really are a great place. It's a great place to live.
It's above average. It really is. Yeah.
So I lived there, and then after my son was born, we wanted to find a new house, and we moved to South Clinton.
South Clinton. South Clinton, they tried to close their school. They tried to do a lot over there, and it's just a really tight-knit community. Kind of cuts in with Claxton a little bit, but it's wonderful folks, hard-working folks in South Clinton. The South Clinton strip has never really developed like it should, but
right.
I mean, we give them right back to the same gentleman. But I think this Aspire Park is going to be fantastic.
Oh, I had a chance to go to Aspire Park, and it is absolutely amazing. And it's still under construction, so you're kind of having
Got about a year left or so?
Yeah, they're hoping next year, next summer is what they're shooting for at the most next fall. And so they are, there's going to be a place that you can launch your kayaks and your paddle boards. They're going to have
so much vision.
Farmers market. Oh my goodness. It was truly more than I even had imagined when I went to it. They're going to have different kind of biking trails and hiking trails, and I believe it's really going to bring a lot to our little area of South Carolina.
Because it's not too far. You get them, come off Edgemore Road and you go, or Solway.
Right.
Just cut in off Solway. Hey, let's take a 2-minute break and we'll be right back. Join Wendy Maness.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
DEPR.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/knowtherisks.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Welcome back. We're talking to Wendy Maness about Clinton, South Clinton, Mississippi, Dollywood. She's been everywhere. She did. She's in the music industry, and she still plays a little bit. You got your career and other things rolling. Do you see yourself going back into playing more music when your kids are a little bit older?
We've done that. When Jonathan and I first got married, we traveled so much, and we would go and we would be out until 3 a.m. doing a wedding or a private event on a Saturday night, and then have to be at church on 7 o'clock in the morning to start leading worship on that Sunday. And so it's really exhausting. I like doing it for fun now. And I really love writing my own music. So.
Fogerty wrote that song Lodi for a reason. A night after night after night, it's hard.
It is hard. But as far as full-time, no. But I love to serve the community, and I love to
maybe Aspire could have a place for you and him to play.
Yeah, I've actually mentioned it to him when we were touring it.
Because it's part of the culture of our community. It doesn't have the richness of Lexington, Mississippi, but it still generates a little bit of warmth for East Tennessee.
Yeah.
All right, Wendy, you've been on all these local music shows. You're active in the community. Tell me a little bit about you and your husband. You're in ministry. You play. Music is ministry.
Yeah, so Jonathan and I both go to Redemption Church in Knoxville, and Jonathan helps me lead worship sometimes by playing guitar and singing, but he does all the audio and video for their live stream as well. Yeah. I lead music there, and so I get to sing and just be on the worship team, and there's nothing like worshiping, especially with the congregation.
And it's music, so in my background, I happen to have gone to graduate school in there, but liturgy, music's a big part of liturgical life. I mean, it's a big part of prayer, and it's a big part. Even if you concentrate on the historical context of Jesus' time, there was music, there was things, there was different things, there was singing, and I think it's an important part. It makes people feel comfortable and a part of it.
It does.
You can only say so many words. You got to get it out a little bit. So when did you first start into the ministry? When did you feel like, I'm calling it ministry because it's music ministry, right?
Yeah, it is a music ministry.
That's exactly right. But not most people think of it full time. But in your music ministry, when did you first get a call to do that kind of stuff?
Well, I first started in Mississippi at my church, and I would sing specials in my little Baptist church in Mississippi.
How many people sang in Lexington, Mississippi? A few? B.B. King was from there, so
me. Not too many people sang. A lot of people would sing.
How many churches in Lexington, Mississippi? 3 or 4?
There's a church on every corner. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, there's a couple of Baptist churches, Catholic churches, and
Mississippi's got a good mix of that, of both Catholics and Baptists down there, especially the farther down you get in the Delta.
Mm-hmm. So I started there. And so I was probably, I think, 4 when I first sang. But when I really started, understanding what it was, I was probably 15. And it started meaning something differently to me than just getting up and, singing a song.
Sure, exactly. But it was rewarding. But there you had a captured audience. You get to do what you want to do. What kind of music do you like?
I love all music. And I like
most people that play music do.
Yeah, I love all music. I do really love the classic country music. That's probably my favorite. And Motown, as we were talking about earlier. Sam Cooke is one of my favorites. I just love Sam Cooke.
Sam's got the voice.
Who was also from Mississippi.
But not Lexington.
But not Lexington. He was from the Delta.
He was from the Delta. The blues were big. That's where they were born, really, out of that gospel blues kind of background.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to go in 2 different directions there, but let's just say you're coming out of there. You've been involved, and I think the people that sing, even if they're not ministers, and I don't want to get into religious, but they have a kind of a ministry anyway. I mean, there was a quote one time that Simon and Garfunkel did more for the youth than Billy Graham, the Pope, and somebody else put together, because everybody listened to that music and felt the things that needed to be felt. Not my quote, guys. New York City. I just think it's really important. So you get this done, you come here, and now what do you do? Your husband's in the business, right? I mean,
at the time, we didn't really know each other. He was touring in bluegrass.
Bluegrass?
So I just started at the church in Clinton. I went to Second Baptist for a little bit, sang in their choir there, and enjoyed every minute of that because I love choral music too. And just fell in love with all different aspects of worship.
You've been in Clinton 20 years. You've seen some change, although I argue it changes very rarely. But some change. What do you feel about Clinton? What is it in Clinton that gets you interested, excited, whatever?
Right. Well, like I said, I grew up in a small town, and so
this is 10 times Lexington size.
It is 10 times Lexington size, but it's not Knoxville size.
No.
And so I moved to this small town. It is a small town compared to Knoxville and Nashville. So I moved there.
Did you ever live in Nashville?
I did not live in Nashville.
That's right. You went straight through.
I went straight through.
Mom had to drive 3 extra hours. I got it. I'm with you now.
Now she wishes I was in Knoxville, though. I mean, in Nashville. But
why does she want you there now?
Because it's closer and she doesn't have to drive as far.
But how far is Nashville from Lexington? 7,
Nashville is about 6 hours.
That's not too bad.
It's 9 hours up here.
It's not too bad. So you're a couple hours from Memphis. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep, right in the center of the state.
Okay.
So, I moved up to Clinton, fell in love with it because it was a small town. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I moved up here, there was no Walmart there. You had to come to Oak Ridge to go to Walmart. You had to go to Knoxville, and that's just booming now down by the interstate. There is so much there.
Unbelievable.
It is crazy. I drove down there, and I saw the new Hammers building going up.
Yeah.
And it just looks so
Only
great.
place I go, I like Italian food, I go to Gondolier. So I have to look at Walmart when I pull in, you know. But in fact, my wife was there for lunch today. She works in Clinton. She went there for lunch, and you know, she goes to all the Walmarts. But that's another story.
Yeah, my favorite place ever since I have moved here to eat lunch is Hoskins. I love
is that right?
Hoskins. Yeah. Oh my gosh, when yeah.
Oh, they have
the best
generations, food. 3 generations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have the best food there. Milkshakes, hamburgers, meatloaf. That's my favorite. Their Wednesday meatloaf.
Wow, and I used to eat there on Fridays a lot. They had fish on Fridays, which is my tradition, so I liked it. But no question, Dudley and Jinx, the whole family, they've just done a wonderful job over the years, and still do. And still do. They're still Molly and them are all poking away at it.
So since I moved up here 20 years ago,
Big Molly,
I mean,
so it's been different.
A lot has changed, but Hoskins stays
remains
the same.
Forever. That's
yes.
Right. How about Market Street? You guys are more involved, your husband and other people. Market Street, it's trying to make a change down there. They're trying to get some music and stuff and all kinds of stuff. Is there any musical? I don't know why I would associate music with Market Street, but I do.
They do have music down there. The Garden is down there now, and so during the summer and I guess late spring and through the summer and early fall, they will have music at the Garden sometimes. And
help me with the Garden. What is the Garden?
So the Garden is just like a little beer garden.
Okay, I'm walking down. I come down Main Street. I turn right. I'm heading down.
You're
David
heading down.
Stewart's
It's like
office,
the first little building on the right.
On the right.
Before you get to that.
Where the pearl industry used to be, where the little open garden is. Okay.
Yeah, so they will have music there on Friday nights, and oh my goodness, like.
And how do they serve food and stuff? You buy it from one of the vendors?
They usually have like, you know, some kind of boxed cheese and crackers and that kind of stuff. But you just they'll have beer and different kinds of ciders, and you'll just go and buy that if you want it. Just in their cooler. And they'll have
I got it. It's in the garden itself. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, it's like the little alleyway. You know where I'm talking about? It's like the alleyway and the stairs. That's where they have the music. And yeah,
I miss the comic shop.
It's been really great.
I was a big fan of the comic shop and the sports cards. I'd go in there once every couple, 3 weeks, just look through them and stuff. And I know his mother passed. I don't know about him, but good guy, really good guy. So this is Clinton, and then you got Main Street and Market Street. We got food court and all that stuff. You go out. They closed a little Chinese restaurant over there. They moved it over to South Clinton. Go on thing, and then you go on out Charles Severs Boulevard out to the interstate, and that's where the action is. More action, etc.
Yeah, there's a lot of action out there right now.
There's a lot of building, a lot of stuff. You notice I'm out of stuff to talk about in Clinton. I went 2 miles and I'm done already. No offense, but I think it has a chance to make a difference. And before we go to commercial, we'll say that you have pulled a petition and filed a petition to run for city council.
I have. I'm excited about it too.
I've been in the business 40 years. I'll get you know. Let's take a break, Chandler. We'll be back Between the Lines with Wendy Maness.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is my husband, Alex Hussey. Alex was about 2 weeks away from coming home.
I was playing man in foot patrol, and I stopped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
To watch Alex take on this mountain, that's what this is all about.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex has conquered this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
Look at that smile! You did it!
But there's more to be done, and more victories to be won.
This has meant so much.
Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hussey, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Always ready, always there. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Welcome back. We're talking about bluegrass music while we were off the set, talking about Nashville and some common people that we knew. I was fortunate enough that one of my close friends, Maness of Grand Ole Opera, and I got to go backstage in 80 and 81 and meet people, and did throughout the 80s, and it was very rewarding. I'm not much of a musician, or not any of a musician, but I'm not much with that culture, know much, but it was really educational. I learned a lot from those guys. They were very nice. We're back with Wendy. Okay, Wendy, you're going to run for city council in Clinton. Clinton has a different kind of political system. You live one place, but you run citywide. In the county, you run for your area, and that's it. But you get more than one person at a time, which should be staggered. And then in Oak Ridge, it's just everything comes together. It doesn't matter what. 5 people can live on one street, and they all can represent the town. It doesn't matter. So it's just commerce stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So, do you see changes in Clinton? Do you see things coming? Is it getting different? Aspire's a great thing.
Well, Aspire, I believe, is going to bring a lot of change. Just the vision that they have for that, and it's, oh my gosh, it really is amazing. And I have heard, talking to Mayor Burton, that a lot of people are, they're talking about wanting to come into South Clinton, but first they have to wait and see that the park comes in before they do. And so I have been attending these vision meetings, and the vision meetings started, I guess, about last March, and the first group of people, it was about 10, 20 of us, got together, and they said, hey, what do you want to see changing in South Clinton? What do you think needs to happen?
Now, this vision group is for South Clinton.
It's for South Clinton.
But it affects all of Clinton.
It affects all of Clinton because of the grant that, they got in Clinton to help fix up downtown Clinton and other areas. And so that's how I really got involved in talking and looking at changes. And
kind of motivated you to get involved.
Yeah,
more,
it really did, because I was like, you can't complain about your local government if you're unwilling to actually step up and say, hey, yeah, I'll do this. And so we talked about our vision, and it was simple things like lighting and sidewalks and things that we just don't have in that area. And once those things were, put in place, or if they were put in place, it would connect all of Clinton together.
I'm thinking of South Clinton. I'm driving down the road. I go over the bridge. I'm driving. Do we even have sidewalks?
The sidewalks kind of end right at Ingalls.
Yeah.
And so there's a few that go like
Spire
in
Park
front.
is on the left as we go over the hill.
A few go in front of the elementary school, and then there's a few here and there. But
it's a nice elementary school, though.
Oh my gosh, both my kids went to South Clinton.
They tried to close it back when a little while back, and they weren't successful at that. But.
It's a really, really great school, and I'm so glad my kids went there, because they were able to go kindergarten through 6th grade, and then go to middle school in 7th grade. And it just really benefited them to be able to stay that extra time at South Clinton before heading to middle school. So it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, it is. And then went to Clinton High School?
Clinton High School. Ethan graduated in 2020, and Emily is a senior there now.
Oh, great.
And then I used to substitute teach there and at Claxton and all of the little schools.
Now,
and so
you said earlier she's in dance, right, for the Dragon Dance team. Okay,
she was on the Dragon Dance team.
Good for her.
And she loved every minute of it.
Good.
And she took dance from little Dream Dance studio that's in downtown Clinton. She did that for 14 years. Wow. And so I was the dance mom for a long time.
Wow, that's hard to believe. With your energy, I believe it could be done. Nobody wants to talk about problems, really, but you look at Clinton. Here's how I see Clinton. I see Clinton as Mariners Point, a strip of road, and a bunch of Hidden Hills type subdivisions. Beautiful river run there. And I don't even know how you get to the houses across the street. I used to. You got to come through South Clinton to get over there. But I probably hadn't been over there and down on the river part of it probably in 50 years, 40 years. But you go on through, and then South Clinton is kind of a different kind of community. It's working class would be my name for it. But you get back behind the elementary school and you go back, there's a lot of houses back there.
There's a lot of houses, and it's grown, because I used to live around the river where you can't tell how to get there.
Yeah.
And you go down Ridgeview, and you just take the river back in there, and it's a little Melton Hill Circle.
Yeah.
But since I had moved down there, oh gosh, probably 18 years ago when I bought that house, it has just really grown up with different developments and new people moving in.
What's the population of Clinton? Do we know?
I think it's around 10,000.
Well, it was about 9 forever.
Yeah.
So we're just grown a little bit.
Just a little bit. I looked on Wikipedia, and that's always true.
The problem with them is, and I'm going to get back on the old Clinton political leaders, but they always annex commercial and they don't annex residential because it costs money to provide sewer and structure, but you get your money back on the commercial side of it. So they didn't get a lot of that property out there going towards the interstate in those areas. But Clinton's kind of a diverse community. I mean, they got all kinds of different little things. You kind of see it like this, like a thermometer. Not much that way, but these 3 ways you think of it, going together. But downtown Clinton is a beautiful place.
Oh, it's
and you
so
can build
pretty.
around it. You can build around it. And you get up on the road going over Charles Savers and you look down on the city when you're going out on Charles Savers. It really is just kind of a nice movie setting or something. I don't know the words to use, et cetera, et cetera. So if you get in there and you're going to do this, and you're going to do it, where do you see us going? You've been in the vision meetings. You should have some vision by now.
Yeah. Well, you would think I'd have vision. And I do work in construction. And in our last vision meeting, we had a lot of questions, and people thought that this, vision that they had cast forward is what was going to happen, and it was going to happen soon, and that's just not the case. It's just something you put in front so that you have a path to get to that next place. So I think, Aspire Park is going to bring lots of people in, which is going to bring lots of revenue in for Anderson County and Clinton.
It's going to bring people in to visit the park.
To visit the park. And what are you going to do? You don't have very many restaurants in our area of Clinton. You don't have any, really, if you think about restaurants, they're all down by the interstate. So some nice restaurants for people to go to, which Aspire Park will have a restaurant, but you need more than just one restaurant. And, sidewalks, I hear they're thinking about sidewalks, new lighting. It's really dark once you cross the bridge, because I don't know if you've been across the bridge since they built the new one and all of the beautiful lighting they have. But you come across that bridge and then it's dark. So, I think they'll do some things to spruce up the area.
And when you were in these vision meetings, because you represent South Clinton, but you represent the whole city.
The whole city, yeah.
So what did you hear from other areas of the city, things that they're interested in, or?
For the vision meeting?
For the next decade or two.
So this vision meeting specifically that I was attending was basically for South Clinton. But the great thing is, if South Clinton thrives, then the whole city thrives, because, you've got it more united. Because a lot of people that are in South Clinton, they don't feel united with Clinton. They feel like it's 2 separate places.
No question.
And it's not at all 2 separate places. It's one city, but it does feel like that.
Part of that's because South Clinton gets treated like a separate city. Now, I'm not talking about you or today, or I think Mayor Burton's worked hard to bring everything together. But in the end, this dumping in South Clinton, right? I mean, I always had that. And, and technically parts of North Clinton are very poor. South Clinton is more working class people and different kinds. The golf range, we had a lot of stuff going on. The Monument Place, and we had a few businesses over there. I just don't know. Clinton's land trapped, and Oak Ridge is a little bit, but except for the interstate, which is built up good. That's why I keep kidding Lake City. I mean, we all have Lake City jokes, but I'll call it Rocky. But the 2 exits give them an opportunity to really do some serious stuff, and they haven't been able to capitalize on that yet. But Tim Isabel and others are working hard at that. But
I think the biggest thing I have heard the city as a whole talk about when they talk about that area and Aspire Park is, and we keep hearing that once Aspire Park is all built up, that the Ingalls family will be like, okay, it's time for us to kind of fix up our area. So as a city as a whole, that's the biggest issue I hear is,
I hear a lot about Ingalls. You're right.
Ingalls.
About it being run down and stuff of that nature, et cetera, et cetera. How many people serve on the city council? 5? That's a lot of power.
Yeah, and there's only 1 seat open, and it's my ward, so.
Is it the only one on the ballot? Competitive? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you're going to vote for the mayor's race, or you're going to vote for South Clinton's council race?
Right. Yeah.
It's a shootout.
And so it's going to be a fun time. I'm not a politician, and I tell everybody that when I meet them. I was like, I'm one of the citizens.
Yeah.
And that's why I chose to do this, because I am a citizen. I understand everything that the people of South Clinton are going through, and even if you go across the rivers, they're still part of my ward, and I have to be able to listen to everybody. And since I've lived in a little bit of all the areas of Clinton, it makes it a little easier for me to understand, hey, they go through this here and this here. And then you can unite people because you understand what they've all gone through.
We were talking a little bit about different ideas from Market Street, and your husband, you were talking a little bit about a musical place or something. You could explain that to me.
Yeah, Jonathan, he has a background in classical music. He's looking really funny, but he studied classical guitar, and now he teaches at Pella
Classical
City.
music people always look a little bit funny. It'll be all right.
And so he teaches at Pella City, and he loves music, and that's his passion, is to also teach music and perform music. And so he has this kind of vision himself to find a place downtown and create this nonprofit business that would help, kids get musical lessons, or they would teach guitar or fiddle.
Sure, you could have an inventory of
or
violins
even like
and
audio. He would teach that, and it would be like an Anderson County Arts Council.
That's a great idea.
And so that's his vision, and I'm right along with him.
Take credit for that. Yeah, you're running, not him. Take credit for that.
Yeah. I'm right along with it.
He just stole that from you one day.
He
you
did.
saw it in your notebook. That's it.
I wrote it in my journal. That's
it. He was in your journal again, wasn't he? But I think that's excellent, and everything takes money.
And I think it'd be great for the city of Clinton to have something like that, and it really is growing. Like the old Hammers building, completely renovated. It's gray now. It looks so nice. They have a sign in the window. They're still leasing places. It's going to be like a marketplace.
Did they cut it up? Did they break it up? Or what did they do?
I don't know if they did or not.
So the old Hammers building. From outside. Yeah, but I mean, they're trying to rent the whole thing to one person, or are they trying?
It's going to be like different markets. So, like if you have, antiques are big down there. So if you have one antique store, you could do it there, and then if you have a clothing store, you could put it here in this corner.
All little kind of like an antique mall kind of thing.
Yeah, or whatever they want to rent it out for. It's going to be really interesting.
And these are open areas that are like 12 by 12 or 20 by 20 or something.
Looks to be, yeah.
Not individual rooms.
Right.
You just walk from one stall to the next, sort of, to say,
right.
In the animal world. Okay. I got that.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
It does? Okay. I got to get over there more. I haven't worked there in 10 years. I just never get over there. Unless, politics. Courthouse stuff. Let's take a break. 2 more minutes, Chandler, and we'll be back with Wendy Maness, and we'll talk more about the future for Clinton.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
DEPR.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place, and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/know-the-risks.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up Do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Welcome back to the final segment of Between the Lines. We're talking about Clinton, Tennessee tonight. It's only 7 hours from Lexington, Mississippi.
Yes.
You made the drive, didn't you?
I did.
And so we're going to talk a little bit more about Wendy Maness and her involvement in Clinton over the last week. And now she wants to take a seat on city council and volunteer and make a difference. You've done work in the schools.
Mm-hmm. I have done work in the schools.
With your kids and helped with the dance team. And these are not paid positions. These are volunteer positions, and music's been a great deal. Tell me what you've done in different schools or anything that you can relate to, like with your kids.
Yeah, with my kids, I did help with the dance team, doing different fundraisers for that, and that's such a great team. Like, couldn't ask for a better group of girls, and so it was a pleasure to help with that.
How many people on that dance team? Like 8 or 10?
No, there was I think 18 last year.
Okay.
So there was a lot of girls. You had to make sure they were in one spot, and
takes a lot of fundraising. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, it does take a lot of fundraising, and so I have helped raise money for them. And then in Clinton, this happened in Clinton, so I will talk about it, but some of the people that I worked with in Clinton were here. But I was a Navy ombudsman, and so when I was a Navy ombudsman, I was a stay-at-home mom, and so I had to work out of Clinton.
Define Navy ombudsman.
Yeah, so a Navy ombudsman is the only volunteer position, or the only position in the Navy that you don't get paid for.
Okay.
It's completely volunteer. And so when the...
But you're actual registered with the Navy as an ombudsman.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so what you do is you're a volunteer worker and you're an advocate for the families in the military and the military.
Yes.
So you have to make sure that you're an advocate for these people and that you get them the correct information that the military sends down.
To what kind of people?
This is the families. So it was during
people
deployment.
In the Navy.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah,
you.
the people in the Navy. I'm sorry, but the people in the Navy.
So if
their
in Clinton
husbands
we
are-
have 80 people in the Navy at any given time, what's the average number? 20 maybe?
Yeah, it was probably, I think when they deployed East Tennessee wide, there was about 100 families.
That's a pretty strange thing to be. You're the first person in 40 years I've ever heard was a Navy ombudsman.
Yeah.
Or an Army ombudsman.
Yes.
How'd you get interested in that?
Oh, they just asked me to do it, and
The Navy did?
my ex-husband was in the Navy, and
Okay,
so
you
he
knew a
was
little
getting
bit.
deployed, and they're like, "Hey,
I
can you
see.
do
You've
this?"
done it for a while. I
Yeah,
get it.
so I did that, and so that was my first
Ever
big
have anybody
time.
pass away? You had to pass?
I did not. I did
Oh,
not
that would
have
be
any.
tough,
Luckily, we were very lucky. NMCB 24 is who I represented, and they were the CBs, so they did construction. And I would make sure that all these families had the correct information when deployment happened, or if any major news happened, I had to get it out to them, or if they had a problem,
Well,
they
that's a
called me.
great service to people in the military.
Yeah, and so it was really a great time. It was tough though. Like I was meeting, went to the Pentagon for a meeting one time.
It's a little scary.
And that was scary, but it was very interesting to stand in the window where the plane hit and hear the guy next to you tell the story of everything that happened. Met Oliver North, just like lots of military stuff, and that all started me as a housewife in South Clinton.
I think that people, and what was the area you covered?
I covered all of East Tennessee, so it was from.
So if you were in not Cookeville, but if you were in Cleveland, Tennessee, or Chattanooga, or up in Johnson City, you would be the ombudsman for
in
that
Knoxville area, Clinton area.
Oh, yeah.
Oak Ridge had some people.
Was it time consuming? Did you have to do some things?
Oh yeah, it was time consuming. I had a list of people, and every week I would call those people and make sure
you didn't get paid for any of this.
Doing good.
That's
no,
amazing.
Didn't get
Thank
paid
you
for
for
any
that
of
service. That's almost a military job there.
Yeah, and it's the only military job you don't get paid for. But I loved
more valuable,
every minute of it, and we got.
Never had any. Did you ever have any family members? Your father in the military?
My dad was in the Air Force.
Okay.
During Vietnam, and he didn't have to go, but he was in Texas stationed. And then my
so you have a little
grandfather.
military understanding. Yeah, you got a little bit.
So that was my really big volunteer time. Then I did like Bible school at the local churches in Clinton, at Second Baptist. Did Bible school and Awanas, and
Yeah, I really like the River Tops. They do a good job out there.
That's a great church.
Oh, and they have to take care of people like Jeff Cole and Rex Lynch, and the ministry to those guys has got to be incredibly taxing. But
yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah, it is, and they've grown exponentially, and they've got a lot going on. But sometimes you find places where your music works, and you can do more stuff, and other things happen. That's interesting. I think Navy things just kind of got me interested in that. Did you have a supervisor at the Pentagon or somewhere that you would report to?
We had a head ombudsman, and so she was actually out of Huntsville, Alabama.
All women?
All women. Occasionally, if you went to a conference, you would run into a man who was an ombudsman because his wife was in the military. But not very often. They were all women, and we just all kind of banded
That's a
together.
good example of Quentin people making a difference, folks. That's for our country too, not just for Quentin, but for everybody. So that's so admirable. Sending all your kids through all of the Quentin schools, being a vested member of the Quentin community. What can you say about it all? What was the academics decent?
Oh, Clinton High School and Clinton Middle, all of it was amazing. And, sometimes you'll get into that rivalry with somebody saying Anderson County School or, Anderson High School and Clinton High School. But I loved Clinton High School so much that I became a substitute teacher for a little bit while my kids were there. Oh. And they would say, Mom, don't talk to me. Pretend you don't know me. And the first thing I would do was, hi, I am Wendy Maness. I am Emily Crow's mom. And so she would be like, Mom. But I got involved in the school, and I think that's what it takes. You have to get involved in some way to know exactly what's going on. And I can't say enough good things about that school.
Yeah.
From South Clinton all the way
Congressman
to
Chuck
high
Fleischman
school.
is my son's godfather. So when he's in town sometimes, we'll go get Caleb, pick him up at high school, and he'll just put his head down. And, he doesn't want to talk. I keep saying he's going to come in and talk, but you got to get a lot of clearance to do that. And both sides of the fence. And he says, send him to the other classes. Don't tell him he knows me. I mean, so there is a shyness about all of that, I think, and some of those things. We have a lot of military. We have a lot of people that serve in the military in our county commissions in our cities, and it's good to have that kind of support and volunteerism in the community. I think Quentin. We have the industrial park, but I think we need more jobs. I don't know how we need more jobs, and they don't have to be industrial jobs.
Right.
They can be like Aspire. How many people are going to go to work there? And a lot of them will be Knoxville, younger people. But why can't some Quentin people gain employment there?
Right. Yeah, and they are going to have a lot of jobs just there at Aspire. They haven't even started hiring really for that because they're going to have, a director of the park, and then they're going to have people planning events for the park, and then they got to have workers to maintain the park. So that right there is a bunch of jobs, but then you get that park taken off and other businesses wanting to come in, and who knows what happens? Because
is there land? Is there going to be land on that side of the street?
On the opposite side of the street.
No, I know where that is. That's where.
Is that where you're talking?
Yeah, in the hill where everybody. I'm talking about where Aspire Park is. It goes from here to here, almost out to the TVA Bridge. And is there any land on this side of the park, or has Aspire got it all? On that
Aspire has all that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big park. When I drove around, I didn't even realize they were taking me down these roads, and they're like, "Oh, and this is the backside of the park," and it
just seems so energetic. The vision is it's young people. This is stuff they do.
Yeah.
I don't know all that they do, but I know hiking and other stuff and restaurants. It's a place to go for more than an hour.
Yeah. And when we were doing those vision meetings, you would hear people say, now I don't want this to grow too big and turn into a Turkey Creek. And I don't think any of us want that in Clinton.
We'll take it in Oak Ridge.
You'll take it.
Y'all can build some shop.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen. But you do have to be prepared because Knoxville's growing, which means Clinton is going to grow because of Knoxville just moving in to South Clinton.
I had a warehouse that I owned across when I was in my 30s, across from Turkey Creek, when the weeds were this high. And everybody said, that thing's never going to get off the ground, never get off the ground. And then, boom, in 5 or 10 years, it grew like crazy and broke ground.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It's a really, you cannot like it. There's no way you can. I mean, I get it if you live 3 blocks down, you can't get out of town. I understand. But I just think it's got a lot of, it just brings a lot to the community, sales tax and everything.
Right.
But our governments are now pretty well funded anyway. You call up somebody in Knoxville and order something, they ship it, boom, the tax goes right to Clinton. Mm-hmm. I mean, only 2 years we've been doing that. That's really been a boost to everything. What do you see your role in government? What do you think your value you'll bring is?
I think the value is I'm very good at listening to people, and I don't think, I think that's what we've been missing. Okay. As Clinton as a whole, and especially in the area that I live in, and I love the most, that Ward 3. And so when we have gone and asked for things or, brought our concerns, it felt that we were ignored. Okay. And I think that I will be able to listen to people and maybe even persuade the other people to kind of see my point of view, because every voter
what can
should be
the
heard.
city, when you've gone, what issues have you gone for? Quickly.
What's that?
What have you gone for? Give me an issue you went for. Sidewalks?
Sidewalks, the vision stuff. There was a couple of issues that happened where that were a little controversial, which is kind of what got me in there, of going to Mayor Burton and saying, hey, why is this happening? Mm-hmm. And he sat down and talked to the people of South Clinton, but not one person that was on city council showed up to talk to us. So that really kind of piqued my interest in, hey, we need some representation in our ward that's going to fight for us.
I've heard that forever in South Clinton, though, to be honest with you. I've heard it for 2 decades that South Clinton doesn't get the respect that is deserved.
Right. And so
I think most Clinton families would like to see South Clinton do well. I think people are all part of Clinton.
Yeah, I think it's all Clinton, but and nobody should feel like they're not part of our great city, because we are.
Okay.
We're all united.
Here's my political advice. I know nothing about music. I sure don't know anything about classical music, except I listen to it quite regularly and some other things. But I will tell you this: politics is not a team sport. You make your case and you stay in your lane. And go knock on doors, and people think that annoys people, but it doesn't. They like seeing people.
Right.
Get out and let people know. If you can do those 2 things in a small town, you can make your way. You'll do fine. And just don't get in things that don't concern you. Just give people a choice, and that's where it's at. Yeah. Okay. Anything we got to say? Anything we want to say about our friend, our classical friend, before we go? Or is there...
Well, my husband Jonathan, I didn't talk about him too much, but he's a big supporter of what I'm doing, and so he's out there helping me.
He has a big resume, though. He's done a lot, so it's easy to talk about it, isn't he?
Yeah.
He seems very
We could take up the whole hour, but thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad, Wendy. I think we need more young people. He's counting it down, folks. We'll be back next week with another show, Between the Lines.
Since the moment you were born, I've made 1,000 wishes. Wishes for your future. In a world that's changing fast. Because no matter what you do in this life, what matters to me is that you keep doing.
The life of every child is precious. If you care for a child or teenager with a disability and have limited income and resources, they may qualify for monthly cash payments through the Supplemental Security Income Program, or SSI. Call Social Security at 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI Kids to learn more. That's ssa.gov/SSI Kids. Message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is my husband, Alex Hussey. Alex was about 2 weeks away from coming home.
I was playing man on foot patrol, and I stepped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
To watch Alex take on this mountain, that's what this is all about.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex has conquered this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no